Good morning, everybody. It is Thursday, May 16th. I'm Jane Johnston with the Briar Hill Group at Remax Commerce, and welcome to the Victoria Real Estate Show with...
Good morning, everybody. Andrew Plank here with the Vibe Real Estate Group, and I'm with Royal LePage Brokerage. We also have Jen. Hello. Hello, Jen.
Good morning. I'm with DLC Modern Mortgage Group.
And how are you guys doing? How was your week this week?
I've been really busy, super busy. How about you, Jen?
Very busy. Yep. Lots of inquiries, and it's been good.
Good. I hope that bodes well. I've been showing a lot of properties, had some listings go unconditional in a day or two. Not many showings. Interestingly, we were just talking about that. So one of those things where you think you price a house properly and or a condo properly, and yeah, one offer.
One offer is enough. I mean, one offer is enough. It means you got it right. But we've got some folks backstage we're going to bring in soon, and we were talking about the market in general. We'll probably rehash some of that conversation we had earlier, simply because it was really good and interesting. So stay tuned, folks.
Okay, well, let's get in.
Right now, to stats.
Yes. Okay. All right. So it's May 16th, and we're looking at the month-to-date markets. First of all, we just want to say, if you are interested in the show and you want to know or you want to participate, please let us know. And don't forget to share the show to other people who may be of interest, who are thinking of moving. Please comment if you have any questions, and don't forget to like us on your YouTube, Instagram, or Facebook. Okay.
Folks, just to stay on that slide for a sec, we're just looking for folks to talk to. We're lonely. We want to chat. We want to talk real estate and share ideas and share best practices and share that with our clients and with our realtor family. So by all means, whether you're local or far afield, if you have something to share that's real estate related, we really want to hear about it so we can share it with our community.
Okay. Awesome. Take it away, Andrew.
So as Jane mentioned, it is May 16th. And so we had in the last week 394 properties come onto the market. And that is quite a few. And then we had 193 properties go pending. And that's also quite a few, but not as many as were coming on. We had 138 price decreases, which is also quite a lot of price decreases, and continues to show that the market is continuously adjusting to match. And people are continuously adjusting to match the market. 5 price increases, 6 back on market, 149 properties transacted at Land Title Office, only 32 properties expired, and 4 withdrawn. So that's really interesting to me, that only 32 properties expiring versus the new listings coming on. We have a huge amount of inventory, but there is still a market for it. Maybe not as strong though.
Yeah, just like looking at the ratio, we're moving faster now. So we're up around 50% compared to, I think we were at 40-something% last week. So we're doing
for the list to sale.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so last week, do you want to take that one, Jane?
I
can take it.
No, it's okay. We can just go on to the next slide. It's fine.
Okay.
All right, so looking at our month to date, we're at 262 net unconditional sales for May of 2024. That's compared to 775, so much slower market year over year for the month of May. It doesn't look like we're going to be getting up to around the numbers we were at, but this is up over last week where we were at 111. And then new listings were at 739, and that's compared to the month of May in 2023. We're at 1356. So it looks like we're getting more listings coming up and slightly less sales. So we're going to see inventory increase, and we are seeing those numbers. We're at 3,206. This is the largest number probably in about 5 years. And that's compared to just 2,189, which we thought was a lot last year for May.
Mm-hmm.
Just an interesting thought. So we're kind of right at the point where we might see prices come down a little bit then, because there's more inventory.
Supply versus demand. Yeah.
So yesterday is interesting. I was looking at a property on Daffodil. So this house was a house with a suite, priced at $989 or something like that, less than $1 million. And there were probably 20 cars on the road. And the realtor, who I think is a newer realtor, was sending out all these touch bases. Like, okay, like, just don't forget, you're going to have to overlap. It was like pre-COVID. Everybody's rushing in. You can hear all the conversations happening. We're not going for that property. But a well-priced property will still get lots of attention.
Absolutely. Well priced or well located or in great shape. Those are the things that you're always looking for. If you can find all three, you're really doing great. It is interesting though. So as of May 6th, so not a full week, we had 111 unconditional sales. And now currently we're at 262. So in the following week, we had, definitely a pretty good increase in the number of sales week over week. So 110 versus probably 100 and looks like 151. So that's a good increase. And so if that momentum continues, and I think because we have a lot of inventory, we also have a lot of selection. As long as the buyer activity continues to happen, we're probably on point for doing maybe 600 transactions or more by the end of the month, which is lower than the 775 last year, but it's not small.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think we're going to see more and more activity. It just feels like the whole year has been moved about 2 months. Like
there's a lot of yeah. I mean, maybe we should bring our guests in and start chatting about this stuff because.
Well, first of all, let's just get Jen's market update. What's going on with you, Jen?
Well, and speaking of the supply and demand, I mean, I think there's a lot of people that are just kind of waiting to see what happens with interest rates in June. This week, the U.S. inflation numbers came in and they were as expected, which was a bit of a shock.
Sorry, they were as expected, and that was a bit of a shock.
What was it? What was
yeah,
it?
So I say that. So they were on target, but lots of economists thought they were still going to be high.
Okay.
So then what that does is it drops the bond yields, and we're going to potentially see a slight decrease to fixed interest rates. Also, with the retail sales numbers came in, and those are not good. And this is based in the US. Bad retail sales numbers means good things for mortgage interest rates. So again, we're potentially expecting rates to drop a little bit there.
So there's an expectation of decrease in fixed rates.
Yes, not significant, but yes, a little bit. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I'm up for renewal.
Yay.
Okay, well, let's bring our guests on right now. And first of all, bring you on here. Here we are. We have Des in January. They're with the DK group in West and North Van of Greater Vancouver. I was actually checking today just to see exactly where that was. So hold on one second. So here we are. This is them on the middle and the right. And then this is where we're looking here, just north of downtown Vancouver. So I wasn't sure exactly what the difference was between the District of North Vancouver and the City of North Vancouver and then West Vancouver. So maybe you guys can explain that to me. Sure. Go ahead.
I'm happy to speak to that. Actually, it's a unique proposition that they have going on in North Van, which is that the district and the city have very different overarching goals and tasks. The District of North Vancouver is tasked with the concept of keeping the mountain on the mountain and stabilizing root soil and making sure that we don't all wash into the ocean, and maintaining that huge forestry area that's to the north in the mountains and the foreshore. And then the City of North Vancouver is more about the relationship between transit from North Van directly into downtown Vancouver. And they're all about tax base and densification and making sure that that the bus and everything keeps running. So very, very different vibes, much more dense in the city of North Van, and it's just a little sliver that you can
It's a
see.
small space. Yeah.
Small space, but different mayors, different city hall, different everything, because different overarching goals. Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, that's Greater Vancouver in general has a lot of, Abbotsford, Surrey, Vancouver itself, and then North Vancouver, West Vancouver.
Yeah.
I mean, Victoria is very similar, right? We've got 13 municipalities, and each with
Mm.
different goals. Some not really much overlap.
So how is the market going there compared? You just saw what our numbers are. How are they going compared to yours?
I think that we're kind of seeing the same. Well, in a way, we're seeing the same things that you guys are mentioning. Is that I feel like there is much more inventory. So sellers are looking to sell and are putting their homes on the market. But I think I still feel buyers are hesitant. There's a lot of cost to borrow currently. They're believing that there will be a rate decrease coming soon, which makes a really big difference if you're a first-time home buyer, right? If any little bit helps. And so there's kind of this pause and wait and see situation on the buy side.
Okay, actually, Jen, I wanted to ask you a question. When we're looking at the rate decrease, what's the difference going to be for somebody, let's say, if they're looking to buy less than $1 million home? How much more affordable will it be with maybe 1/4 or 0.5% decrease?
I don't think rates aren't going to be going down that much. So it's more just, I mean, I would say, yeah, that's a tough question off the top of my head. Because we don't know what the rate decreases are going to be. Like right now, based on, yesterday, the treasury yields were down 7.6 basis points. So let's just say that's going to be, rates are going to drop 0.1%. So that's really not going to affect their purchasing power, but they're going to like the decrease in the monthly payment.
But more hypothetically, if they did drop, let's say 0.5%, because there is talk of that happening over the next, maybe year, who knows?
Not fixed rates.
Not fixed, but variable.
Variable, yeah. And yeah, that can be significant. My cat's joining the conversation. See, that's the fun part of the pets, and I've got my puppy dog down below. I always like to do a table when there is those significant decreases. Here's how much it's increased your purchasing power. But it can be, $50,000 to $100,000 for sure if you've got a significant rate decrease.
Okay. Okay, let's get back to your market. What are you finding are the major opportunities, I guess, that are in North Van and West Van right now? Like, for instance, we found in Victoria, there's been a big change in the condo market here with lots of inventory. Are you guys finding that as well? And how do you guys have a lot of taxes, right, for empty homes and all that stuff? Tell me more about that.
So a few years ago, I think ahead of some of the provincial changes, the city of Vancouver specifically flagged the fact that too many empty homes in the middle of a housing crisis is not the way to go. It's had a spillover effect into North and West Vancouver as well. So if it's not your primary residence and you're not in it for over 6 months of the year, if it's empty for more than 6 months of the year, you get slapped basically with quite heavy duty fines from the municipality, and then also provincially we're into it. It's sort of been creeping up. I think when the original taxes were imposed, they started off at like 1.5% or something. I think they're now at 3 or more. January, I can't remember off the top. Yeah, we try to never leave them empty. So that's basically the overarching thought. But in terms of opportunities right now, it's really interesting. In April year over year, because I always like to see sort of what happened, snapshot, last year versus this year. And in the detached market for North Vancouver, we're basically up about a third more in inventory. We're starting to see that separation between number of sales versus the amount of product coming on. And to me, a few months in a row of this, basically, I'm fully expecting a bit of a price drop unless we see those rate drops in mortgages counterbalance some of that effect. So right now we're seeing, an excess amount of inventory. To give you an example, last year, April, 168 on the market, 78 sales. This year, April, 263 on the market, 76 sales.
Oh,
So pretty flat in terms of the amount of absorption. This is North Van. Similar numbers in the attached market in North Vancouver. This encapsulates both the condos and the townhome space. Last year, we had 269 properties on the market for sale with 140 sales. This year, so from 269, we went to 383. So another third jump increase. And we've absorbed about the same amount. So with that separation continuing between inventory levels rising, but the number of sales sort of continuing, again, I'm expecting firmly to see, we've had flat pricing now for about 3 months in a row. I'm firmly expecting to see a price drop in the townhouse and condo space in North Van, unless the mortgage rates counterbalance that and affordability comes back a little.
Yeah.
But I think we would say, like, in general, we're seeing the same thing, I think, throughout most of BC, that really the condos and the townhomes are kind of driving the market right now. There's many more sales in that space than in the single family detached in North and West Van currently.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I think that comes down to an affordability issue.
I was thinking the same.
Yeah,
And especially with the higher interest rates, unless you're a cash buyer. And, I'm curious at what you're seeing in the luxury market, which is sort of maybe less impacted by the rates. But yeah, for the more single family home space, it's much less affordable than a condo or townhouse, which is
absolutely.
Mhm.
Specifically West Van. I mean, January, you can speak to this. Like, we both live and work out of West Van, but we cover the entire North Shore.
Yeah.
But you saw that as a home shopper yourself not that long ago, right?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, the homes that we looked at, some of them are still on the market, or they've delisted and relisted at roughly the same price. So I can think of at least 5 listings in this proximity of my community that were listed. Yes, Jane?
oh no, go ahead. This is just a placeholder for when you're finished.
Oh, okay. So that I looked at, that we considered buying and didn't for whatever reason, and they are back on the market, and oddly at like the same price they left the market unsold last year. So I think people were like, well, let's take it off for the winter and pop it back in on the spring, thinking that the spring was going to be gangbusters. And obviously that hasn't happened. So yeah, we've seen not a lot of movement there. And then we have some areas like even further afield, like Lions Bay, for example. I mean, they went, 8 months without a single detached sale home, had one last month or 2 months ago, and then have gone back to 0 again. So that's a large amount of property that's just sitting.
Yeah. We're about 10% absorption in West Van for detached homes. That's a very low level of absorption. So 432 homes, 42 sales. Like, that's definitely in the buyer's market territory.
And this map is a little deceiving. Like, Lions Bay is not quite that far from where I live. It's maybe a 10, 15-minute drive. But that map made it look like it was like halfway to Alaska. So it's nearby.
It's nearby. Now that said, go ahead, Jane. Go ahead.
So what's your strategy now? What I'm trying to do as a listing agent is I'm trying to get a little bit ahead of the market and price a little lower so that we're ahead of where. Because like if you have your inventory going up and your absorption rate going down, you're seeing less sales per month. So I'm trying to price more assertively to get ahead of the market and so that there's still activity. What's your strategy?
Yeah, I think, obviously our bottom line, we want to try to get as much as we can for the sellers, but we also want to have a successful sell, right? I mean, it's that game. I think we're finding success with, if there's something that's comparable on the market, we try to go to market at the same time. So we're giving options for those buyers. We're looking at what, the comparables really closely, like, okay, so what are they asking for this? Did it go for that? Like trying to get a really good feel on what the actual market value for a property is versus maybe what we, crystal balled it in the past and thought about it. So those are some of the things that we're trying to do in terms of being proactive about it. And then of course, like having discussion with sellers right now. And the reality of it is this is not most likely going to be a 30-day, done situation. Like you guys might be on the market for a while, depending on what, the property size is. If it's a condo, that's slightly different right now, but a single family detached might sit for a bit. So just be prepared for that on that end. Does anything else?
Well, I mean, we've done a few things differently, certainly in this different market. But I would say the claim to fame that we've had is that pricing has always been a strong suit of the group. So that's been great. We go in trying to figure out where the people are fishing. So very intentional about the price band that we're launching in, making sure we don't miss a group of buyers because we came in $5,000 too high, right? And the cutoffs are there. So we're looking at pricing bands a lot more seriously. And I think we also want to be the bright, shiny penny in the group of properties that we're going to be competing against. So are we the best priced? Are we the best value overall because we look better? All those things, right? Like where do we fit into the pecking order, and would we be the belle of the ball in that group? So where are we basically?
Well, we do the full service, right? So that's what the DK group does is we come in, we'll get an organizer in if we need to, we do the staging if we have to, we do any kind of repairs, so that when a buyer is looking at our offering versus another offering on the market and they're priced fairly comparably, do you want something that you're going to have to walk into with your toolbox right away? Or do you want something that you can live in for a bit and kind of like deal with the other issues as you want to? So that's something that we provide.
I think that one thing that came out of COVID, pre-COVID and COVID, is that people wanted a house to be done when they went in, so they had nothing to do. There was a lot of pressure on just sort of quick possession, moving, getting in and like not having the stress. And then now we're looking at really like probably 30 to 60 days minimum on market, and buyers are being picky. And now people are like, maybe they don't want to clean their house before they put it on the market because this is too much effort now to keep it up. Right? Like it's
clean it for them.
Yeah.
Or they want it cleaners. I'm like, okay, no.
Yeah. They want to clean it, and they clean it for the first week, and then after that it's
well, and that's something we have to come across as well, obviously, is that, you get your photos done, it looks beautiful, everything's like spick and span, and then it's been sitting there for 3 months and life goes on, right? We have animals, we've got kids, we've got, maybe, somebody in the house with health issues or, whatever it might be. And, clutter accumulates again, right?
The penny is no longer as shiny.
Exactly. So you got to keep it on.
I'm really curious about something you said, which is you bring in the handy person, you do the fixes. How do you guys manage that as a team? Do you have someone you come in? Do you just pay for that? Does the seller pay for it out of commission? Like, what's your policy, or how do you address that kind of thing and have those conversations with the sellers?
Andrew, the answer is always, it depends. So
right.
It depends.
I use that all the time too. It depends. It depends.
So to give you an example, we're bringing on a beautiful 2-bedroom listing in West Van, condo. And, it was an older person's home. It's an estate sale, or will be an estate sale. And we helped the seller coordinate everything that needed to happen for us to be able to launch it successfully. Now, some of that we're going to be covering as part of our, brokerage fees, et cetera. But, some of it she's covering, like having a city junk removal person coming in to, take all the stuff away. And then also connected her with our contacts, because she's not actually from here. She's managing the sale of this property, this family property, but she doesn't live here. So connected her with a lot of wonderful trades that are going to be doing the painting, the cleaning, the this, the that. And we cover other things like staging, etc. But if it's like fixing some plumbing because there's a slow leak or whatever, we may just cover that just to get it off the table and not wait around for a seller to.
Yeah. Problems cost sellers, right?
Yes.
And if we can get rid of those problems for the seller, we have a much better chance of having that sale. And a lot of sellers don't recognize that.
Yeah.
Well, they've lived with it like that for 15 years. And so they may not even, they might be blind to it. You know what I mean? Like
Exactly.
how many times do you sell a property of your own and you're like, oh, I'm going to fix that shutter. And I've been looking at it for 15 years broken. And then you get it fixed and you're like, well, that was stupid. Why didn't I do that? You know?
Yeah.
The funny thing is when people go to sell their car, they'll clean their car, clean the windows, you know, stick in the decenter or whatever, detail it. And then when they get to their house, they're like, I like living in it the way it is, so I'm not going to do anything. So it's a real struggle. I think other people, they say, I'll just follow you, whatever you tell me to do. There's a high level of trust. They follow your systems. The house gets sold quickly. There's no resistance, I guess.
So just speaking of something as simple as that, we had a consultation the other day with a woman who's elderly who's going to sell her property. And as we were in the house, and they had a pressure cooker Instapot unit and then a separate pressure cooker and then like 4 coffee makers. I mean, it, you know, it was excessive of everything you need in a kitchen. And we come in and we're like, well, you know, typically, you know, ideally we want to keep the counter space clean because it looks better and uncluttered. And even the idea, you know, just even wrapping her head around how can I operate without my Instapot pressure cooker and my separate pressure cooker was
Like coffee
for her. Yeah, 4 coffee pots. It's like, well, this one we use on I mean, whatever. But, you know, and sometimes that can be a bit of a block. So it's just communicating that, you know, if we make a suggestion, it's really just to try to help your home shine and, you know, really look the best and be attractive to buyers. And the reason why is because this is not the Wild West right now. This is, you know, it's going to sit for a bit.
You know, it's funny because we use that that rationale of, you know, you've got to be extra diligent and have everything cleaned and everything fixed and everything, you know, decluttered when it's a slower market. But the fact is even in a really, really busy market, those things pay you back.
They do.
You're going to get more in the multiple offers. You're going to still get a fast sale, but you're going to get more money potentially. So I know that people think, oh, and I've seen this in those fast markets, I can just list my home, I can put it up and it can be, you know, I don't have to put any lipstick on this pig. I can just sell it. And yes, it will sell. But you're not going to get anything. You're not going to get the max for it.
Well, if we're going to use phrases like that, then I've got a good one too, which is hopefully they don't bleep it out. But I always say, like, we want to make sure that the money shots, like those shots on the, you know, on the MLS that are really going to stop people in their tracks, are looking amazing. So is the feature of this home the front yard, the backyard, like the kitchen? Like what you know, what are we really going to be making shine? And let's walk into that kitchen or the front yard or the backyard or whatever that is. And like, how would this show on camera? And actually have on occasion taken photos and just show them on the phone and say, this is what it's going to look like. And it's amazing to me and to them what you see in a photograph that you don't see when you're looking at the kitchen.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Well, also, I had one client, one of my very first clients who I brought through, and I said, you know, I don't think that we should have all your child's pictures on the fridge and all the cupboards. And she's like, well, this is a home. It's reflecting, you know, how we're living here. And I said, okay, well, I'm just telling you, this is the advice. This is kind of before staging was popular. And then we went and looked at properties together. We walk in and there's all this lady's underwear all over the bed. There's a kitty litter box in the kitchen and it's like crunch, crunch under the feet. And she came back and then she cleaned her house.
Right? Yeah. It's an
you know, this is I was talking to someone. I've got someone who's a prospective seller. And she's older. Her husband is in a home, and she's been talking about selling for some time. And we touch base every once in a while. But it was interesting because we had an interesting conversation about, because she has a lot of stuff in her home. It's very, very cluttered. There's a lot, you know, it's a whole lifetime's accumulation of stuff. And she was talking about how vulnerable she feels having people come into her home. And how big a job it would be to clean it all out. She doesn't. I mean, partly she doesn't know where to start, but also, I think she feels like she might be, I don't know, judged or whatever how she lives or how she's cared for her home, because it's not in the best of shape after living there maybe for 40 years.
Mhm.
And there's only so much you can do as a real estate agent to bring it, up.
Yeah.
So and she'd spoken to some of her friends at, her regular coffee, and a lot of her friends had sort of mentioned the same thing. And it really occurred to me how, this is a really personal thing, selling your home. And we go into it and easily say, remove these pictures and take these Instapots and do this, do that. But it's such a personal, this is their life inside of that home. And we're
And it
asking to kind of sanitize it.
Right. And it can be super overwhelming and intimidating to somebody who's a senior and doesn't feel like they're capable of handling it. So it is kind of like kid glove situation a lot of the times, making sure that they know it's one step at a time. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. We can do kind of piecemeal it and operate, together on that process.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that's the importance of staging, because it's the psychological process of letting go.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
So I met a great lady the other day. She's going to be 90 this week. She actually she may have cancer. She was going into the hospital just to get something tested. And, but she was telling me all about her life, and I could see it all reflected. And staging your home doesn't mean that you need like ultra modern things that don't reflect who you are. It's just really fine tuning the spaces so that people could focus on the living there rather.
Mm-hmm.
And while they see some of your legacy of your life there, it also means that they can place themselves there as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's the most important thing. So
you're working with the grain. You oftentimes you're not taking everything out of a home and then restaging it with new furniture and everything. That's really expensive. But if someone has good quality furniture, and it could be about furniture placement, it could be about just some small tweaks and changes that really help to improve that home.
We do make sure that everybody is on the same page. Like, one of the things that I always try and drill in with clients right from the get-go, and think we're all trying to get there, is once you decide that a sign is going outside, like once you're selling, it's not your home anymore. I don't actually even call it their home. I call it the house. I call it the condo. I don't call it your place or whatever. Like, I make sure that the language is very specific and very measured about what it is, because that's in our rearview mirror. Like, where are we going?
And you have that conversation with them. You let them know that that's how you're looking.
Yeah. I said,
get them on board.
That we're putting the for sale sign up. Yeah. We're open for business, right? Like, this is like, we're trying to be chosen for the party or the ball or the groom, whoever we're waiting for. And as it isn't, you got to stop thinking about it as your home, because you're not going to be living here. Like, and January said it really well when we were with our client consult the other day. She said, "You're moving anyway, right? Let's just pack this stuff up."
Yeah. I say the same.
You're actually moving. And she's like, yeah, we're moving. And she's like, great. Well, you need to pack anyway. So just start packing.
Yeah.
Say that all the time. If part of decluttering, if you're going to be moving anyway, you just start with the decluttering and you start to pack it away. You start to get it, get rid of it, and then start that process early, because if you're already committed to moving, have it happen. For sure.
I call it the pre-packing. So when we talk to a stager, I go, okay, we're going to divide things up into 3. One is, what are you going to take now? What are we going to leave and pack and take with us? And what are we going to get rid of at the end of the day? And they go, okay. And that's okay. But you really need someone to help manage them through that. I find it can be totally overwhelming, but it is.
I'm a big believer in having all those contacts at the ready. I don't understand being in this business and not having a plumber at the other end, or an electrician, or a stager, or a declutter, or, on and on and on. Like, would you guys all fall into that same camp? Like, I think it's so important, because clients don't have all those contacts that we have.
That's brilliant.
It can be hard to find.
Yeah.
It can sometimes be hard to find a contractor who's reliable. I mean, they seem to come and go, or you find somebody. But you're right. Like, I have a stager that I'm like at the ready, and there's a lot of other contacts at the ready. But it's a constantly changing list at times, because again, it can be hard to keep some really good people. They get busy and they're no longer having time for the realtors.
The small hand and turns into a contractor, turns into a home builder, and then he's gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
We definitely have a list of preferred contractors for getting a place ready versus after they've moved in.
Yeah.
And I find that's the biggest difference of being in the business for a long time is you are more experienced. And I just want to say, like, what I'm hearing from you guys are really nuggets of wisdom that people can draw upon. And that's what makes the selling experience more pleasurable, if it can be, because they you know that they're being guided by professionals. So.
It's the unknowns that most people feel the most angst about when they're in a sales process. They don't know what the next step is. They don't know what they should be doing next, or they don't know what to expect of what happens next.
True.
So
To the point where I even bring a calendar, like no joke. We, I don't know if you can see this, but we bring a calendar to the appointment where we're literally saying this could be our first launch window, but if that's too aggressive, that's okay. We can always delay to this next launch window. And seeing on a calendar that they can take a photo of, or we can like email them later of, it really helps them understand like the whole picture.
Yeah.
And
it also explains things like, sorry, Jane, it also explains things like, we're coming into the holiday season. So you've got Father's Day, you've got long weekends. So if we miss this is why it's important to get on the market here. So, I mean, that happens at the, Christmas time, that happens throughout the year. There's these natural breaks in buyer activity. And so if you're selling and listing, you're going to want to make sure that you're optimizing the time and
Right. What are your thoughts on listing during a long weekend or before a long weekend?
Ooh.
I mean, it depends, right? It depends.
If you really, really have to.
All I can say is, as a buyer agent who has stayed during a long weekend, I've gotten some really great deals for my clients.
When you were my buyer's agent, we bought our place on a long weekend. So never say never. I think I had you work in Canada today, like 12 hours that day.
Think about the holiday itself as well, and who's it going to impact, right? Like, if it's a condo downtown, is it really going to make a big difference if it's like Mother's Day? I'm just using that as an example. Like, are people really going to take the whole weekend away from looking for a place to live or invest? Mother's Day's on Sunday. But that's going to be very different than a, Victoria Day long weekend or Canada Day long, like whatever that is, where people might be physically out of town. Right. So it always depends. It depends.
Yes, it depends. Well, and I feel like this year it's going to be a later, the market's starting to warm up, but going into potential rate drops coming in June, possibly July, it could mean for a busy summer.
Yay, yippee-ki-yay.
That'd be great. It's been a busy year already. We are on track. We are on track to have our best year this year.
Wow.
Yeah, in a market that most people would say is not that busy. And we've been extraordinarily busy. Like, so something good is happening.
You are. I mean, that's it. You're the good, right? If you have a good team and a good systems and good service and you're authentic, you're going to be, truly helping people. You're going to still remain busy. You're able to sort of, it's the people who are really dependent on those online leads and whose businesses are less service oriented that don't survive these ups and downs.
I would agree. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you so much for coming, you guys. I've gotten a lot of gems out of today. I really appreciate you, and I want to thank you for sharing your wisdom. I forgot to make a banner for each of you, but if you want to tell me who you are, what your name is, just read it out, and your phone number and the best email. People who are listening will be able to hear that. Okay, January, go ahead.
Sure. January Burry with Remax Masters DK Group. Phone number is 604-354-5399. You can email me at january@dkgroup.ca.
Okay, and Des.
Hi, Des Serpy with Remax Masters, the DK Group. 604-782-1826 is my number. And my email is des, D-E-Z, @dkgroup.ca.
Okay, thank you everybody for coming.
Thank you.
All right. All right. Take care, you guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Pleasure, guys. Thanks so much.
All right. So we're just going to finish off the show right now. Andrew, do you have anything you want to say?
Let's see here. I mean, it's a long weekend, right? I do have a listing coming.
Oh, okay.
So I'd love to sort of share that.
Okay.
So that's going to be going live today. Open house over the weekend and looking at offers probably Monday. We were because it's sort of a unique item, we decided to do a holding off offers regardless of the fact that, we may get it, we may not. But we've got a top floor conversion unit on Princess Street. And unfortunately, this is not the presentation that will be, because this is all out of order. The listing goes live later today, but it is a beautiful top floor with high ceilings and gorgeous light and those beautiful stained glass windows, fir floors. The main bedroom has a nice, beautiful ensuite with a clawfoot tub. It has it's a small deck, but a nice little deck. It's got a nice, cute little gas fireplace in there. It's got, there could be some updates to it, but it also has some really nice vintage, like you can see in the bathroom there on the left, that it has that nice hexagonal tile. It's a decent kitchen with all the appliances. It has a little pantry. It's around 1,100 square feet. So we're coming in at 669, and it's a small 4-unit strata. It's just a gorgeous little unit. Comes with its own parking stall and storage shed, really. So yeah, that's going to be going live later today.
Does it have a
if you got
shower?
anybody- Yeah, the main bathroom has a shower. I'll see if I can find that this one has a shower.
Okay. All righty.
Tub and shower combined, not a walk-in shower.
669, 2-bedroom, 2-bath.
2 beds, 2 baths, 1,100 square feet finished.
That's really pretty.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Yep.
Nice.
So I just listed a 1-bed, 1-bath on Fiskard. We got an accepted offer, was priced at $650 at $450, and included parking. And just a tip for anybody, when you're looking, please check if there is parking, because it's worth a lot of money, especially downtown these days.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And
What would you say parking is worth today in a downtown condo?
well, when I first, probably about a decade ago, it was probably maybe 25,000. I'd say it's up. It's expensive.
I'd say it's around 40, 35 to 50, but probably really around 40, depending on where you're at. 40, 45.
Wow.
So separating them out, yeah, you're probably right. Yeah. But I could see it being up around 100, and the rent that you can get for a parking space can finance you definitely $50,000 for sure. You get 100 or $150 a month for a parking space.
So yeah, what you're saying though is, well, it's hard sometimes to rent a parking space unless it's within the building itself. You're not often able to rent to an outsider. But also, if you were to buy a home downtown and then have to pay for parking because there isn't parking, you're probably paying $150, $200 a month for parking downtown. It's not even secure. It's not as convenient. And think about how much that will finance you versus having that built into and baked into your unit. It's definitely, I mean, Jen can speak to that, but it's definitely going to be worth that $40,000 to extra that you would pay, just so you're not, as long as you have and require parking. If you just walk everywhere and bus everywhere and that's your lifestyle, then why pay that extra?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, I have one listing I'm just going to share for you. This is a new listing that's just come up this week. It is on Spirit Ridge, and let me just get the window here. Chrome tab. Oops, sorry, wrong window. Got it. Are we on?
You're on.
Okay, so
yeah,
2207 Spirit Ridge. This is in Bear Mountain. And it is a beautiful home. Let me just get to the stats. So it is 4,291 square feet, 5 bedrooms. It has a suite above the garage on the left there. It's super, super nice. I'm just going to go back here. And I don't know if you can hear the cleaning lady behind me. Just gorgeous. Open concept kitchen, living room, dining room. Not sure why the lights weren't on all the pictures. But back on the other side of that garage is where the suite is. And it's got a 2.5 garage. And it's just absolutely stunning. Really, really nice home. You're looking for perfection. And it's one of those cases where people are take care of their house immaculately. So you're going to get something really, really nice.
It's as new.
Beautiful.
As new. Yeah.
So
yeah.
That one's priced at 1.978. So
Okay.
anyway, okay. So everybody, thank you so much for joining us today. If you have any questions about real estate, Andrew, how do they reach you?
If you have questions about real estate, ask Jane. I'd be actually happy to help you. If you have questions about real estate, give me a call. I'm at 250-360-6106. I'm at info@andrewplank.com, and you can come to my website, andrewplank.com as well. I'm also part of the Vibe group, and we are going to be launching a different website soon.
Awesome. And Jen, how do people reach you?
Yes, I'm at 250-217-4925 and j.low@dominionlending.ca. And my website is jenlow.ca.
Okay. And if you want to reach me, I'm Jane Johnston with the Briar Hill Group at Remax Camosa. My number is 250-744-0775. My email is briarhillgroup@gmail.com. And my website is briarhillgroup.com. You can watch these shows and more on victoriarealestateshow.com. And please follow me on Instagram at realtyteacher_Remax_Victoria or Briar Hill Group. Take care, everybody. Have a great day. All right. See you later. Bye, guys.
See everybody.
Bye, everybody.